Now we welcome in our Jaguars insider, Brent Martineau, the sports director at Action News Jacksonville. All right, Brent, last year's team went to the AFC Championship game. So when you look at how all the pieces are falling for this year's team, how do you think it compares?
Well, I think it's one of the best rosters in the NFL, simply put. This defense goes 15, 16 guys deep. It's obviously led by the defense. And then you start to ask some questions on the offensive side of, okay, what could this be like? Can they run the football the way they did? They had Andrew Norwell on the offensive line, so they got stronger there. And then where is Blake Bortles' ceiling, I think, is the million-dollar question, at least in these parts. So there is no reason to believe that the Jags don't pick up where they left off. And you could also argue they arrived a bit early last year with some of the young talent. So how good will that defense be? Some people think it could be historically good. And then how good can Blake Bortles be, and what that ceiling is will be the big question throughout the fall in 2018. But they are in a prime position to just pick up right where they left off. And around here, they're thinking Super Bowl for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, and as you said, the million-dollar question is Blake Bortles' ceiling. In your mind, what does he have to do this season to just silence the critics?
Well, I think he has to do it again, basically, because I think a lot of people believe it was a fluke. That 3-game stretch in early December where he was phenomenal, the playoff run where he wasn't great against Buffalo, but the other 2 games he was pretty darn good, and he didn't turn the football over the entire postseason. I think people think, well, he got away with that. That's not who he is. And I think he has to kind of decide who he is. He's been up and down these first few years of his NFL career. He's had some excuses, but he's now out of excuses. He's got a good defense. He has the same offensive coordinator. They continue to put weapons around him. He has a good running back in Leonard Fournette, good offensive line. So I don't think you can go the excuse department anymore. I think we start to find out now who is Blake Bortles, and can he do that again in 2018? And again, I always refer to the ceiling because I don't think a lot of people are saying, hey, there's more upside with Blake Bortles. I think it's different in the Jags building. I think they believe there is more upside with Blake Bortles. And I think 2018 could go a long way in determining what that is.
You said that there are a lot of ifs, especially on offense. Is there a guy that you tab when you look at this roster and you say he could have a breakout season next season?
Yeah, I think 2 guys, one on defense, and I know not a lot of what else they have to do on defense. But Myles Jack, to me, I think he's arrived a bit in the eyes of a lot of people around the NFL, but I think he's about to take a superstar kind of step. I think he is the breakout guy. He becomes the Jalen Ramsey, the Calais Campbell, the Telvin Smith kind of player this year for that Jags defense. Keep an eye on him. A few years ago, I thought he was the best player in the draft. Turns out Jalen Ramsey and a couple other guys like Joey Bosa might factor into that. But still, the Jags got a steal in the 2nd round with Myles Jack. This is now his team from a linebacker standpoint in the middle. I think he is going to have a big season. And then the X factor for me on offense could be DJ Chark. I think the 2nd round pick out of LSU has a chance to be anywhere from a number 1 wide receiver all the way to a number 5 guy for this team. So there's a big wild card, but there's a lot of upside with this receiving core. He could maneuver his way into being a top target for Blake Bortles.
Well, we're excited to see if the Jags can, as you said, everyone's talking about down there, get to the Super Bowl. Brent, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We appreciate it.
You bet.